So a little bit result and discussion in here. Overall, signature weapon provide a good improvement, especially in the negative status team, because you can take full advantage from the weapon which is giving buff. So in the end, it's actually pretty good, especially for the negative status team. But take notes, expect the weapon will be less impactful if you play in the non-negative status team. I try in the like Prolova team, yeah, it will be less impactful. It's still decent, but it will be not as good as you play in the full negative status team. And that's why I want to give you a reminder in here. If you plan to play with Zani, then unfortunately Zani will not get any benefit from the weapon buff itself, mostly because for the weapon buff you need the character that can self-apply the negative status. Zani cannot need from Phoebe, so that's why in that team, if you put Zani Phoebe, the one that will only get buff is Chisa itself and Phoebe though, so Zani will not get any advantage though. But in the end, it's still decent because Phoebe and Chisa still get buff, but it's not as optimal like Cartetia team. And in Tower of Adversity, for the negative status team, it tend to be faster around 8 to 12 seconds, of course depend on the RNG and rotation. But if you play in the non-negative status team, I try in here right now Zani and Prolova, it's faster around 4 to 8 seconds. Yeah, it will be less impactful compared to one that you play with negative status team. In the end, if you wonder, like I test a lot of different signature weapon, this is just another typical upgrade of signature weapon where it's actually good to have if you can afford, but it's not necessary if you just want to clear content though. It's not the end of the day. You can still use this Lupa weapon that I show, you still fine, and it's still good enough to in terms of timing though. But in the end, I still have my pull recommendation. I mostly recommend this weapon if you play in the negative status team, let's say like Cartetia, then yes, or maybe future character that involve mostly like full negative status team, then yes, this weapon will be give you quite good in terms of improvement to you, and I recommend. But of course, if you plan mostly to play her in the non-negative status team, let's like Prolova or even like Zani where it feel like partial, then I can say it's fine though for you to skip, mostly because it's still decent in the end of the day in non-negative status team, but it's not as impactful though. So yeah, you can just skip that and equip any limited 5-star though. Second, it's quite obvious, of course, if you want your Chisa deal more damage for her personal DPS, or even you want to give more like buff to the team itself, then yeah, this weapon is pretty good and I recommend. And third, maybe you want to push her as a main DPS, then yeah, her weapon actually pretty good if you want to make her as a main DPS, although I don't recommend. But if you maybe really like to push her as a main DPS, yeah, the weapon will be quite contribute you. Next, maybe you still struggle with the end game, yeah, it can help you. Next, maybe you have disadvantage, let's say like lag or frost that cause maybe from low spec of device, or the network in your place is not really that great, then yeah, you usually will disturb your gameplay, right? So you cannot play optimally, then yeah, I can recommend this weapon, then it can help you, because in general it's still pretty good. And lastly, of course, if you care about aesthetic or fashion, because this is why I want to pull the most, if you actually pay attention, Chisa signature weapon and non-signature have a difference though. Like basically signature gives you effect, so that's actually what I want though. So yeah, that's pretty much it though. I hope it can be helpful. If you like this video, feel free to hit the button and like, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.